All right. We're going to see how this goes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. And it's going to take a few minutes for people to get in here because that's how it goes. So, and there it is. Good. Good morning, C. Thomas. Welcome. You're going to get the first bell today because you are the first one here. We'll slowly see how it pops in. I have a dilemma today. I feel kind of bad about it. My morning has been completely different than I expected. And I will explain that in due time. Good morning, Necro. Welcome to the show. It's weird not having my standby and my intro because I start out cold. Everyone's coming in slowly but surely. But I'll tweet out a link. I need to edit this because I need to change my thumbnail already. Let's see if it'll let me do that. But yeah, I had quite the experience yesterday evening. And I think you're all going to have a good laugh at this one. Don't worry, we'll judge you in Mandarin. Well, as long as you can speak some language that I can't understand, I won't even know. Man, I'll tell you what. Um, oh, shoot. This tells me zero's on here. I This experience I had last night was completely out of the blue. And unfortunately, it's kind of messed up my entire day. And so my 100 show is going to be very much like many of the shows I do, pretty much off the cuff. I've got plenty of headlines that I can look at. And I know there was the Democrat debate last night. And, that was oh boy. I feel a little bit sorry for Joe Biden. No, let me just explain something. Because of my interesting experience last night, I didn't watch the debate, but I'm reading about it this morning. And while I'm still not convinced that there's a Democrat right now that can necessarily beat our current president, sounds like there's a couple who might be able to make a go. Excuse me, a go at it. Who knows? But I just know that poor Joe Biden is he is just getting well, whatever. They're figuring out he's Joe Biden. No, I didn't tweet out the show. Good question. In fact, that's what I'm going to do now. It's going to be my first task until I get my old setup back, but my old setup doesn't come back until I buy another computer. So that may be a while. We are actually going to be filing an insurance claim. Apparently, my homeowner's insurance will cover the losses. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back and see my we got robbed video. But let me tweet this out. I'm a little lethargic today too, and my experience last night will explain why. I probably should have a big old cup of reparations coffee, but I don't. I don't have one right now. All right, let's tweet out the show real quick before I forget. Okay. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be having any guests today. Because again, we'll talk about the mishap. It's coming. I promise. All right. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, it's keeping it 100. So it is my 100th show. The All right. And there we go. Now we've tweeted it out. Hope well, eventually that'll show up there. So, so anyway, this is going to be one of those shows where I wing it a little bit. Good morning, T. Thomas, who gets the bell because he's number one today on the show. And good morning, Necro. Good morning, Ginger Snap, and Maniac Man. So, oh, that's weird. I have a chat sitting in both of them. Okay, well, I popped out the chat. Kamala was just what I expected her to be, a race baiting biatch. You know what? I didn't see it. And so I don't know. Here's what's happening. It's so weird because maybe I'll watch some clips from the debate. I thought maybe I would just read one of the wrap ups and then I'll learn about it a little more. But let's see. So apparently they here. Okay, let me look at a few headlines. Debate night circus. Okay. Joe Biden did well, in my opinion. Okay. Um, that's interesting because not many people were thrilled with Biden's performance. Not necessarily. Oh fuck! What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. I maybe lose. Here's the other thing. Because of my experience last night, I might lose my train of thought more than once today. Okay. Um, so PJ Media, there's someone on PJ Media wrote about it, and his name is Tyler O'Neill, who's a pretty good writer. Let's just use their article because I haven't, like I said, I didn't watch it, so I'm gonna just take one take on it that I read. Good morning, Marsupial Gamer, how you doing? But let's say, and mainly, part of it is I just had no desire to watch it. So here we go. Let's do this one. Kamala surprises, Biden flakes, and the Dems tear each other apart in the first 2020 debate. By the way, I will tell you my story after this article, I promise. And you're all going to laugh at me, and it's going to explain a lot why I'm a little out of it today. But there you go. Good morning, MC. Hammer time. Nice to see you. All right. So 2 marathon stretches on Wednesday and Thursday. 20 candidates in the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination fought for time and exposure on the debate stage in Miami, Florida. In the first night, it's going to be one of those days, I promise. Hi, C. Thomas. Yes, I thought it was a waste of time too, but let's get in that. 20 candidates in the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination fought for time and exposure on the debate stage in Miami, Florida. In the first night, Representative Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke, Democrat, Texas, and Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat, Minnesota, lost. But there was no clear winner. In the second night, Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat, California, emerged triumphant over the frontrunner and former Vice President Joe Biden. In the first debate round Wednesday, oh my gosh, it's going to be a tough day, guys. Just hang in there with me today. The first debate round on Wednesday achieved the basic goal of a debate, allowing each candidate to define himself or herself as an option, distinguishing between the different choices. The second debate round on Thursday involved more acerbic attacks, pitting candidates against one another to yield clear winners and losers. On Wednesday, O'Rourke flaked. Yes, he did. When the other candidates went head to head with him on various issues, Klobuchar lost because she did not stand out from the crowd. In fact, her performance was completely forgettable. Other candidates, such as Senator Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Representatives Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Ryan, defined themselves well. Booker went out of his way to emphasize transgender issues. I wonder if he'll declare himself as the first transgender candidate. Anyway. Slamming Gabbard for not doing enough beyond supporting radical equality, supporting the Radical Equality Act. Former HUD Secretary Julian Castro performed well, but made a fool out of himself on transgender issues. Tim Ryan and former Representative John Delaney emerged as moderates, unlikely to win, but introducing alternatives besides the rush to the left. Gabbard won the Drudge Report poll after the first round. Americans Googled her and Booker most after the debate. The moderators gave Gabbard a really tough question on LGBT issues, and Gabbard shot at them, claiming that they were in the bag for Elizabeth Warren. Oh gosh, that's her tweet. It's clear who MSNBC wants to be president, Elizabeth Warren. They're giving her more time than all the other candidates combined. They aren't giving any time to Tulsi at all. And that's her sister who was using her Twitter account that night. Okay, perhaps the less aggressive strategy made sense for the first round of the debate. After all, only Warren is a key leader in the polls. Many analysts claim that Warren won the debate round merely because she did not fall to arguments from other candidates. None of the candidates targeted Joe Biden, the current frontrunner, for attacks. On Thursday, however, the candidates targeted one another. Harris went toe-to-toe with Biden on the issue of his record of treating segregationists with civility. Oh boy. This is interesting to me. I'm doing this is one of my asides. So I gotta think that at some point Joe Biden has been in public office other than his time in Congress way back when. And it's fascinating to me that I'm pretty sure as when he was running for the vice president of the United States, or even in that campaign, when he was running for president and then became the nominee for the vice president, and during the 8 years of Obama, it's fascinating how none of this ever came up before. Wow. How does that work? So there's this tweet, sparks fly between Kamala and Biden. Senator Harris demands that Biden apologize for supporting segregation in schools and the separate busing of Black children. Wow. I was in grade school when that whole busing thing started. And there was a whole lot of controversy over it. A lot of Black people didn't like the idea of busing the schools, whatever. And how long ago was that? That was 40 years ago. The more important thing is, it has Biden. I'm not a Biden fan. I don't care about Biden, but he let's be honest. Do you think Biden? So they're trying to paint Biden as a racist. Now, he's an old jackass, kind of like Trump's an old jackass. But I don't think either of them are racist. It's okay when they do it, remember? Yeah, I know. It's just, oh my God, come on. Harris emerged triumphant in a spat early on. Representative Eric Swalwell. He's still my favorite candidate. Not to vote for, but just to laugh at. Urged Biden to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans. Biden shot back saying, I'm still holding on to that torch. Senator Bernie Sanders and South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg tried to edge in, but shouted over one another. Harris ended the episode with a line that found loud applause from the audience that shouldn't sit well with Americans. You know what, folks? Americans don't want to witness a food fight. They want to hear how we're going to put food on their table, she said, shaming all of her squabbling competition. She had that line practiced and ready. She did. She did. What the hell is going on here? Why is it only showing part of this? All right, how's this looking? Let me see how this looks on my screen. Oh, okay, it's all good. All right, I thought maybe it was all right, never mind. Pass the torch, says Swalwell. Harris did not necessarily have stronger arguments, but she comported herself well while Biden flaked under pressure. Did Biden have any major gaffes last night, though? Because usually he's a gaffe machine, and sometimes all he has to do is not have a gaffe to be okay. Just curious. Anyway, meanwhile, Buttigieg continued to show his unique strength to the religious left by shining Republicans in the name of Christianity. Sadly, Democrats kept repeating over and over again the fake news about Trump administration putting kids in cages and attacking Trump over immigration policies that he shared with Obama that haven't changed since Obama. God. Oh man, they're gonna milk that, and at some point, well, they did make us. Here's a mistake that I think they all made last night. Nope, he did well. Okay, good. I don't dislike Biden. I just don't want him to be my president. But I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think any of them are bad people. I just don't want him to be president because they have bad ideas. Um. So one thing the Democrats I think made a mistake on is all eh, t- all of them, all 20 of them to a T are here. Let me get rid of this. I don't even want to read any more of it. Where's the stop sharing? There we go. Every one of them to a T have basically said we should have open borders. Okay. Don't want any, they want to end the restrictions on the borders, basically. Maybe not to all of them, but basically, they aren't really doing anything that's actually helping the situation. So they want free flow of immigration, free flow of illegal immigration, free flow of people crossing the border illegally. But then they also want to give all illegal immigrants health care. Okay, free health care, free education. Now, we pretty much already do that. But the fact that you're telling them that, isn't that just going to increase the flow of illegal immigration more? I just don't get it. I don't get it. What an asshole that guy was. Pass the torch was just passive aggressive way to say old people get fucked. Yeah, I don't care if my president is old. I don't care if my president is young. I just care that my president um, does a good job as president and things go well for the country. President, it's funny. How much does whoever the president is directly affect your life, except when you're talking about topics that don't necessarily pertain to you? Now, yes, the economy is booming under President Trump, and that's a good thing. And I think that the things that they've passed, that and some of the regulations they've taken out, and some of the things they've done are a part of that, and that's important. But honestly, even now, maybe now let me think about this. And the laws that the legislative branch pass affect your lives more than anything the president does. Yes, the president signs the bills, president leads, and whatever the president does foreign policy. But in my personal life, in my little corner of this world, my 12 miles that I spend the most time in, my 12 square miles that I spend the most time in. And the reason I say that, people always talk about, oh, most people get in accidents, they're usually closest to their homes. Well, they spend 99% of the time in a 1 mile radius to their home. So of course they're more likely to have an accident close to home. But in this 12-mile radius that I live in, President of the United States affects very little of what I do in my life. You know what I mean? Obama, sure. I don't like things that he did. I don't like things George Bush did. I don't like things Clinton did. But at the end of the day, I control my life, not them. I go to my job every day and do what I do every day, and I coach kids, every day, and they don't have any effect on my basketball team that I coach. They have very little effect on my job I work at. Sometimes they have an effect on how much money comes in and out of my check and how much I pay to the government at the end of the year. But my quality of life does not revolve around who's in the office of president. Now, unfortunately, if you watch Twitter, there's a lot of people who that's all their lives revolve around. They only think about what's happening in that office. And I don't care if they're on the left or on the right, their whole life revolves around determining whether or not that person in the presidential office is the right person for them. I don't do that. I just live my life. Now, I certainly um, appreciate things that change or things that go better or whatever when different presidents are in office. And I do have issues when those they have scandals and things like that. They affect the total view of our country. They do affect people in our country. Um, but I just I don't know. It, the office of the president's not supposed to be an all-powerful office. It's supposed to be a limited power office. We don't have kings, and that's why there are three branches of government. That's why we have checks and balances. You have the president, the legislative branch, the judiciary. The three branches kind of check each other, and really, our country wasn't designed to make huge sweeping changes. So all these Democrats, for example, are proposing these huge sweeping changes and giving everyone free. Now, if any of these Democrats get in the office, I'm fear if I would really be concerned if we did get one of these candidates for president on the Democratic side in office, and if the Senate changed over and if the House changed over and there was a super majority in all three. That would be disastrous. But thankfully, the founders who created the Constitution created our form of government with the three branches and the bicameral government legislature, which one is designed to slow things down and one is designed to have full representation of everybody, whatever. Thank goodness for that system because it makes it difficult to have overly sweeping changes. When they said, everyone's saying, "Oh, why didn't Obama pass Obamacare during his or pass more stuff during his first 2 years?" Because the legislature was designed to slow it down. So the worst thing we got out of that, in my opinion, was Obamacare. Um, and yes, he made lots of mistakes and whatever. The people, the crowd that says Obama never had a scandal. That may be that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. But they insist the only reason it wasn't a scandal is because the news media had his back. Oh shoot, I forgot. I gotta open Streamlabs. Um, guys, I'm sorry. If you've done something on Streamlabs, I haven't haven't even opened it. My bad. Let's see. Let's put this out here. Dashboard Streamlabs. Let's see. Hopefully that should be right. Okay. So, by the way, just a reminder while I'm doing this, the Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the guests of the Morning Night Live. Um, if you would be so kind as to share the stream and hit the like button. And I'm trying to figure out if, gosh, the problem here is having everything set up differently. It just messes me up. All right, so I'll have to keep refreshing that. All right, cool. All right, so I have that on. I'll try to check that every time. If you do a super chat, just put in capital letters. I'm going to show you an example here. Just if you put the letters SC, just to remind me if you put one out, I will go check it. That's my fault. Just do that, okay? And good morning, Francis. Good morning, Johnny Hellcat. There's a bunch of people who came in while I've been rambling along here. So hopefully that's y'all are good. Anyway, all right. So let's see. Where was I? Anyway, the president of the United States sets the tone for the nation. I just chuckle because I don't as much as Trump for me is an interesting welcome change, even though I don't necessarily like the style. But the fact that he doesn't take any shit from anybody, may be his most admirable trait. I think for too long, um, particularly uh, Republican presidents, have spent too much time more thinking about image and not necessarily what they do. Um, you know, and so I guess there's some things about Trump that I can completely appreciate. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, let me tell you about my experience last night because I've said at the beginning that this show is going to be a little different just because of my experience last night. So here's what happened. I was here in the afternoon in my house, and I made myself some lunch after I got home in the afternoon. Made myself a little lunch, had a sandwich, and I was sitting at my kitchen counter, which I have a kitchen counter where I can sit at and eat. And I was doing something on my phone. I think I was going through Twitter, watching YouTube. So I don't even remember. I don't even remember. And there was a bag of Sour Patch Kids, the Sour Patch Kids jelly things. And so I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I think I'll have a couple of those. So, um, so I took a few out and had a few in there. They didn't taste normal, but they were jelly candies. I wasn't sure, and wasn't really concentrating on what I was eating. And as many of you know, um, I ate about I had about 9 or 10 of them, and I was like, yeah, these just taste weird. I'm not going to eat anymore. I'll just eat some pretzels. And as I was sitting there, I and I was there probably just there a half hour dinking around on my phone, and suddenly I started getting dizzy, and it was weird, man. Um, hello, Tim Higgins, how you doing? I was getting dizzy, and I was like, wow, I don't feel good. I thought maybe I was going to get sick. I didn't, I was. It was almost like I had vertigo, and so I went upstairs and I went and lay down in my bed, and it was weird. I was having these weird visions and all this other stuff. And I so I'm thinking to myself, okay, why do I suddenly not feel good? And why am I feeling so dizzy? And I was starting, every time I closed my eyes, I was seeing having these weird dreams, or not dreams, it's just things like my face was melting. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then I remembered I was recently in Las Vegas. Now, I have no desire to partake in the products that contain THC. I really have no desire whatsoever. However, Lady Boomer and I, when we were in Vegas, we got on one of those free bicycle rides. The guys on the bicycles that have the two seats and they drive you around. And it was taking us to a place called MedMen. And my wife just thought, oh, I want to just check out the special gummies, the edibles. And I didn't, so we went and she bought some, just ones for helping her sleep. And I snore a lot and I forgot my CPAP machine. So she got a couple of some of those, and she bought a variety of them. And, because she was actually getting for one of my son's friends too, because he does partake in the THC thing. So she thought, oh, that'd be nice. But anyway, and then when we, but apparently she brought them home in an empty Sour Patch Kids bag that was happened to be on her kitchen counter. I did not know that she put them in there. And so yes, um oh boy, I think I ate about 9 of them, and I was out for the count for a very long time, and I'm still feeling the effects of them because this was I don't know. this morning I couldn't work. I was too dizzy. I was just too dizzy. I still dizzy. But anyway, so so as I'm laying in bed, as I went to and laid down in bed, it dawned on me that these Sour Patch Kids were not in the normal Sour Patch Kids shapes. And so I called Lady Boomer at work and I said, um, out of curiosity, Lady Boomer, Laura, um, what was in that Sour Patch Kid package? And she's like, this is all she said was this. She said, "Oh no. How many did you eat?" Oh my gosh, yes. I thought it was about 5, but then when she came home, she counted them. She said, yeah, there were about a dozen in there, and you ate all but 3." So yeah, it was uh, let's just say I'm still feeling it today. Um, I, you know, although finally, and you know what? Here's the thing. The reason that this is messing me up so much is that's never been my thing. I could never do it. I tried it once when I was a kid, and all it did is I stand up and it feels like I'm spinning in a circle. So I've never really been into that. Never, I really never tried it again since I was probably, uh, I think I tried it one first time in high school, and I didn't like it, and I don't think I ever did it again. And so it was really, really a weird feeling. And anyway, yeah, it was tough. I it's funny because I at first when I first laid down and I started feeling like you said, yeah, Marcy, we give you it makes you nauseous a little bit. Um, but then I don't know, I couldn't throw up, and I just finally I went back to bed and I just laid there, and I had an appointment at 6 o'clock that night, and then at about 5, I talked to my wife again when she asked me, or she called me back to ask me how many I took taken. And we figured out that I probably ate about, at least 5 up to 9, which I ended up eating 9 of them. And she finally made it home and had to call. I couldn't even talk. I mean, I was like, or at least I couldn't tell. It's funny because I asked her when she got home, which was about 2 hours into it. Um, I was talking to her. She came in the room and I was talking to her, but I couldn't tell if was making sense. And so I kept asking her, I know that I'm talking. Am I making sense? She said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, I can't understand what I'm saying, but apparently I'm saying the words that I'm planning to say that are coming out of my mouth." It was crazy. Um, anyway, so that's my story today. And oh, by the way, it is my 100th show. I was gonna be my 100th celebration show, but it ended up just ending up being my 100th show. Um, thank you for if you get through this show, if you stay through the show, um, more power to you because it's a little fuzzy to me, even though I think all of it's worn off. So so anyway, let's see here. I'm trying to, and by the way, yes, this is the Morning Night Live. Thanks for being here. Um, as I was saying, the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the supporters of the Morning Night Live. You can hit share, you can like button, and then also down in the description, if you want to do super chats or donate to the show, that link is in this description down below. So there you go. Yes, everybody point and laugh. Um, it's still kind of that way. So let's find another article here because what was the big news yesterday? Eventually we'll get into Twitter trends and see what's going to happen today. Um, oh, here's one that's interesting, and we'll put this one on because I actually maybe I should do this. Hang on a second, everybody. Like I said, I didn't necessarily prep for the show today because I had to. I'm still surviving an edible scare, but I thought this one was pretty interesting. Wait, why did it do that? I need to right click. There we go. Open link. All right. So here's an article from Daily Wire, which we already knew. We already knew this. Anybody with a brain knows this, but let me click the article here. Barack Obama's ICE chief. Don't blame Trump. Cages for illegals were built by the Obama administration. As if we didn't already know that. Every time they show some pictures from of kids behind chain link fence, which aren't even the detention centers, um, those are the border processing facilities where they before they move them to, I wouldn't say detention centers, just places, holding centers, whatever, especially for unaccompanied children. But anyway, um, see, I can't talk. The man who was the Obama administration's chief of removing illegal immigrants said on Wednesday that it was his boss, President Barack Obama, who had the idea of putting illegal immigrant children in the quote cages, end quote, that the Democrats have used as a bludgeon against President Trump. Wow, imagine that. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Whatever ad. Come on, ad, go away. I'm clicking the X ad. Get out of here. That was a pain. All right. Oh my God. This is when did the Daily Wire start doing all these pop-ups? Anyway, all right, moving on. Thomas Honan, Obama's executive associate director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement between May 2013 and January 2017, was responsible for promoting public safety and national security by maintaining direct oversight of critical ICE programs and operations to identify, locate, arrest, detain, and remove illegal aliens from the United States. According to his LinkedIn profile, since January 17, he has served as acting director for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. He stated on Wednesday, I've been to that facility where they talk about cages. That facility was built under President Obama, under Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson. I was there because I was there when it was built, according to the Washington Examiner. Um, Homan, speaking at at the conference hosted by the Center for Immigration Studies, noted a Democratic chairman who asked a Trump official, "You still keep you still keeping kids in cages?" He snapped, "I won't answer the question. The kids are being housed in the same facility built under the Obama administration. If you want to call them cages, call them cages. But if the left wants to call them cages and the Democrats want to call them cages, then they have to accept the fact that they were built and funded in fiscal year 2015." Who was president during fiscal year 2015? Hmm. Yep, point and laugh, point and laugh. Good morning, Smarty Bear. You missed my story. You'll have to read it later. Or someone in the chat will tell you, I'm sure. Um, let's see here. Got to keep refreshing this. All right, back to the article. In January 2017, the Washington Examiner pointed out Holman told a House Appropriations Committee the following: "It isn't the fault of law enforcement that people get separated. It's the fault of the perpetrator. If someone enters this country illegally and knows he's in the country illegally and is found to be in the country illegally and is ordered to be removed from the country and chooses to have a child in this country that's a U.S. citizen by virtue of birth, he puts himself in that position. So ICE is not separating that family. Unlike other agencies, we do this despite a constant deluge of biased attacks against ICE. Oh wait, ICE is not separating the family. So they're not separating families with legal children unless. I see. He put himself in that position. Okay, never mind. While I recognize people have the right to protest laws they don't agree with, I want to emphasize to the public and to the media that to this committee that ICE officers don't write the laws. They enforce the laws. We are all blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I can't blame anybody who wants to live here. But we are also a country built on the foundation of the rule of law. Those who choose to get out of the country illegally, which is a crime, a federal crime, or to overstay their visa have knowingly chosen to break the law. Meanwhile, millions of people have become permanent members of our society through our generous legal channels. They have shown their respect for the rule of law and for the American people. So, anyway, as we already knew, a vast majority of these facilities already existed, people. They already existed. So, and they were built during the Obama administration. So, it's crazy. Um, oh, they can choose to have the children with them. The parents are separating themselves if they insist on their children staying in the US. Yeah, that's just it. They do offer when they deport these people, they offer to they they allow the whole family to go. Good morning, Lindsay. Um, I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But oh shoot, am I buffering? Am I buffering, guys? Yes, I am. All right, so we're gonna close a couple windows here. Yep, the the perils. I can't tell. The perils of this computer. My upload speeds are not near what they were on the other one, and that's just this is a 10-year-old laptop, guys. So bear with me. All right, let's move on. We're gonna close this one. Uh, got another story here, and then we'll get on to Twitter trends if my computer starts working again. So let me ask you guys: are y'all in the chat? Please let me know. Are we buffering really bad? I'm not getting anything. Um, oh shit! I'm closing windows as fast as I can. Let's save that. We'll just call this crap. There we go. All right. Come on. And click OK. Oh, you see it fine? Okay, maybe it's just me. Um, my computer is wreaking havoc on me, so I can't tell if it's working. All right, let's see. Let's just click stop here and refresh. Just give me a second, guys. Seems that my computer has decided to. Oh, well, that window's working. Why is not anything else working? Not buffering, but a slight lag between audio and video. Stable on my end. Okay, so maybe it is uploading at time. Maybe it's just my local desktop that's not working. We're gonna close this window and we'll just try another one. Hopefully, I'll get be running again. Just a second. Apologize for the delay here. All right, seems to be working again. Good thing. All right. So that's my immigration article today. Yeah, we know that these, the concentration camps were built during the Obama administration, but don't tell anybody. We just don't want to do it. Now, oh, and also this story about this, oh man, this dude that took his daughter across the river. I was going to talk about that today too. Um, Anyway, some of the headlines. Migrant father was warned about crossing Rio Grande before drowning his daughter. Um, Remember, this is the guy who was trying to get into the system in Mexico, and it didn't work out. Because there's a 1,200 person waiting list that they have to process, and so then he went to cross some bridge, and he was told the bridge was closed, and he didn't want to wait, so he tries to go across the Rio Grande with his river and he drowns. And some of the Democrats are, showing pictures of the dead bodies on Twitter and whatever on social media, saying this is the Trump administration's fault. Wait a minute. How is that their fault? How is it? How is it anything to do with blaming it directly on President Trump for this? How could it be his fault? He did not tell. I'm pretty sure the guy was told not to try to go across the river. Okay, there's so resources in Mexico. While he's trying to wait, that are there to help him. There's all kinds of people down there trying to help people down there. A lot of them are Americans that are trying to help people on the other side of the border while they wait to come across the border in some legal manner. In fact, there's all kinds of processes for that, but he decided not to wait and to take his daughter across. And it's such a tragedy that they drowned. But I don't know how you blame that tragedy on anybody but the father who brought her on this very dangerous journey and tries to cross a river when people told him not to. So here's the article here. Um, it's from the Daily Caller. Migrant father. Here, I'm sorry, I'll put it on the screen. Gosh, it's just a slow process. I miss my OBS, man. I miss my OBS. I used to be able to just click a button. All right, share. God damn it. Here. All right, there we go. Migrant father was warned about crossing Rio Grande before drowning with his daughter. Stop showing that picture, everybody. God bless it. God bless America. Stop showing the picture. I mean, it's just ghoulish. And I don't care if you're the Daily Caller. I don't care if you're a presidential candidate. I don't care who you are. We know that they drown. We don't need to see the picture of them drowned face down in the water. Oh God, pop-up ads. I had all the shit blocked on my other computer. All right. Migrant father was warned about crossing Rio Grande before drowning with his daughter. The Salvadoran family that drowned in the Rio Grande was warned about the dangers of crossing the river before they drowned, a Central American migrant revealed. I noticed they were really nervous, scared. Xiomara Meja, the Honduran migrant, said to the Associated Press about the Salvadoran family she met in Matamoros, a Mexican town that directly borders Brownsville, Texas. They had panic on their faces. Maya was speaking about Oscar Alberto Martinez Ramirez and his wife and his daughter. Together, the three family members had emigrated emigrated from El Salvador in hopes of reaching the U.S. Hmm. Emigrated is a legal process. That's not a legal process. That's just, I could say, migrated. Anyway, even the Daily Caller is using the language of the open borders people, in hopes of reaching the U.S. and claiming asylum. Before May had informed them that they would not be able to add their names to the list of aliens waiting to make their own asylum claims. They said to me, "You haven't tried to cross the river," Mayha told the AP. We said to them, "No, because of the children more than anything. I don't know how to swim, and my kids do. But either way, I'm not going to risk it." Unfortunately for the family, they ignored their warning. Martinez on Sunday took his wife, 21-year-old Tania Vanessa Avalos, and 23-month-old daughter, 23 months old. Why would you? Oh, you got to be kidding me. Why would you? Um, and 23-month-old daughter Valeria to the bank of the Rio Grande River in Matamoros. The 25-year-old father swam with his daughter across the river into Brownsville. However, when he went back for his wife, the young girl leaped into the river after her dad. Martinez swam back to grab her, but both ending up getting caught in the river's currents. The two ultimately drowned to death. Photos of their lifeless bodies went viral, which should have never happened. Thank you, whoever started that bullshit. Bringing renewed scrutiny of the immigration crisis to the southern border. Yeah, new scrutiny. The scrutiny is that we've made it known that we're not going to do anything about it. And until we do, until we secure the border, we can't. It, you can't stop. It's not. It's been going on for 40, 50 years or longer than that. You've gotta find a way to stop people from risking their themselves doing this. It's funny, they say, "Oh, the couple kids that died in custody of US border agents." Guess what? They came here sick. We've done, heroic efforts to save these kids' lives that have died in our custody, and guess what? I bet you there's a string of dead bodies across northern Mexico, and through those deserts and the harsh conditions, and all the coyotes that have been killing people and raping women and whatnot. I bet if you scan the northern part of Mexico, you find hundreds of dead bodies all throughout the desert. They've found thousands of people dead in border areas in the United States. People finding dead people in their fields. It's not a new phenomenon, and it's because we don't make it clear that you cannot come through our southern border. Once you get through our southern border, if if you don't get caught, you've just jumped in front of the line. Anyway, I told him, "Son, don't go. But if you have to go, leave me the girl," Rosa Ramirez, the mother of Martinez, said to the AP. Martinez, however, insisted that his young daughter accompany him. In an interview with the BBC published Thursday, Ramirez offered a message to people considering making the trek to the US. "Don't try this. I know that in this country, everything is very difficult, but our lives are more valuable." So she's now telling people, don't do it. Don't come here. Okay. Now let me get back to see. I'm sorry, guys. Here, let's end this. All right, I gotta try this again. There we go. All right. So anyway, I the whole immigration thing or illegal immigration thing, it's really it I mean, it's I understand people want a better life, but most of them are not asylum eligible. It's been like 1 in 10 at best have been, or I even think it's less than that. O 1 in eh, between 5 and 10% are even eligible for asylum, that they've been told by lawyers on the other side of the border, "Oh, you know what? You have a better chance if you claim you need asylum." And so there are people going down there, people who are ACLU types go down there and hand them out sheets to, you know, explaining how they can apply for asylum even if they don't, even they're not eligible for it. And they know too that if you have a kid with you, you are more likely to be handled in a different way than if you come across. That's why people are bringing so many kids across. That's why they're sending unaccompanied minors. That's why people are paying for kids. The coyotes are, they found people through DNA evidence that they're not related at all. So some of these people are basically rent a kid. Oh man. New report. Here's some of the headlines. So let's see. We already talked about Nancy Pelosi caving, so to speak, on the bill. Um, what else? Report ISIS suspects caught on way to U.S. border, but none were on U.S. terror watch list. But the FBI was otherwise preoccupied. President Trump orders census delayed until after Supreme Court rules. It can include citizenship questions. I don't know why he would delay that. You know what? Just go on with it. Let's see. Trump nuclear. Okay, defy the courts. Oh, let's see. What did okay, there's an article in AOC. I'm gonna click it before we go into Twitter trends because I just want to see what it says. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is just the Pelosi reverses course will pass GOP, Senate GOP border bill. Oh, Ocasio-Cortez explodes. Yeah, let's read about this. What I can't remember what she said, but she was pissed. It's funny. So as you know, the Senate border bill, or if you may or may not know, but Senate border bill passed 84-8. So in most cases, you would call that a bipartisan bill if that many Democrats voted for the bill. But apparently, Ocasio-Cortez, oh, I can't even say it right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, no. Oh, these ads. Hey, real world event, ad for Halo. How about if I click that X? It's funny because now even when you click the X on these ads, they take longer time to leave. It just pisses me off. You should be able to click it and it should go away. All right. So anyway, Ocasio Cortez explodes. Socialist Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, Democrat, New York, exploded on Thursday after House Democrat Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that House Democrats would pass the Senate Republicans' border bill. Pelosi's announcements comes after she indicated on Wednesday that House Democrats would not pass the bill because they intended to add their own list of demands of things they wanted in the bill. The bill, which passed 84-8, a true bipartisan bill, on Wednesday approved the $4.6 billion to help address issues that desperately need to be fixed on the southern border as immigration officials continue to see a record number of illegal aliens entering the country. But it's not a crisis. It's not a crisis. At the end of the day, we have made sure that the resources needed to protect the children are available, Pelosi said. In order to get resources to the children, think of the children. Needs to protect the children are available, Pelosi said. In order to get the resources to the children fastest, we will reluctantly pass the Senate bill. Yeah, well, good. Yeah, you should have done that. You should have stopped playing politics with it. You're still playing politics with it rather than coming up with any solutions of your own. So there you go. Ocasio-Cortez, however, who had repeatedly claimed last week that the Trump administration was killing kids in concentration camps, was furious that Pelosi passed the bill to help the children. Under no circumstances should the House vote for a McConnell-only bill with no negotiation with Democrats. Really? It passed 84-8, Ms. Cortez. Hell no, that's an abdication of power we should refuse to accept. They will keep hurting kids if we do. Good God. We're helping kids. Where were these? Here's the other part. Because she even is against having facilities to house the unaccompanied minors. She doesn't think we should have any of these facilities. What do we do with the thousands of unaccompanied minors that have come across the border? What do you do with them? You gotta, I mean, and granted, our tax dollars are paying for this. Miss Cortez, are you out there finding each one of these kids a host family to stay with and kept track of? What the idea? I couldn't imagine though. Let's say 10 years ago when my kids were 14 and 12. I don't know how, or even younger. A lot of them are younger than that. How you can send your kids off to somewhere on their own with no plan, just sending them, no relatives, no plan, just sending them somewhere else. I could, when my kids are 10 and 12, just sending them to Canada, hope they make it, hope things go well. You know, I'm sorry, but you know what? You're putting kids in safer places than they were when they were traveling. You're putting them in safe places with beds and food and whatnot. Now they keep trying to play up that, oh, these detention centers are terrible and they're not doing this and that. Remember the other day they were complaining, oh, they weren't giving them toothbrushes and soap, and this Trump lawyer was arguing that it's okay that they're not giving them toothbrushes and soap. Of course, she was arguing a case from 2015 under the Obama administration when nobody even noticed this stuff going on. Although there were a few news outlets that noticed when you're finding dead people on the border, when you're finding, terrible conditions in some of these facilities, and you're releasing kids to child traffickers. Oh, what is that during this? Is that Trump doing that? No, that was during the Obama administration. But anyway, zero negotiations with the House. We offered crucial amendments to protect children and families. None of are being considered. A minority is different than a majority, Ocasio-Cortez continued. And while the Senate has to deal with its lack of power, a House majority should have a seat at the table. Okay. Propose what you're going to propose and do it quick. But you know what? The Senate bill passed 84-8. Miss Cortez. 84-8. Now, the Senate does not have 84 Republicans. The Senate has 55, 56 Republicans. So it was a bipartisan bill. So it's funny. She says here, a minority is different than a majority. Ocasio-Cortez continued. And while the Senate has to deal with its lack of power there, a House majority should have a seat at the table. Well, you have a seat at the table. And guess what? Your seat at the table is about to pass the bill because a majority of the House is going to pass the bill. Now, granted, the majority of you were talking about the majority in the House, but sorry, it's going to get passed. It's a bipartisan bill. Thank you. We have time. We can stay in town. Ocasio-Cortez added, we can at least add some amendments to this Senate bill, but to pass it completely unamended with no House input, that seems a bridge too far. That happens all the time. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you that, honey. Anyway, so she's pissed off about that. Go to hell. I don't care. I don't care what she thinks. You know what? Let's get some aid and, let's spend some more of our money on the illegal immigrants so that at least the ones who are here are safe, especially the kids. Let's keep those kids safe. You want those facilities to have the resources to make it at least a decent time for those kids here. But hey, I got a better idea. Let's finish the wall and let's stop the crisis. How about that? Let's slow the crisis down to a standstill. Let's make it be known that we're not going to allow people to come in here illegally, because you know what? Because we can't check people who are coming through illegally, whether they're coming in with diseases. We can't check them if they're coming from. There's a tourist industry in other parts of the world sending people to south of our border so they can enter illegally through our border. Okay. They found the group, a bunch of people from Angola that flew to Brazil and made their way up through Central America and crossing our border. They're finding people, like I said, there's these people from ISIS they're finding that aren't necessarily on the terror watch list. It's like, and again, it's not even Mexicans anymore. I mean, the Mexican illegal flow has reversed. I'm not saying it's ended, but it's much less than it was. It's all Central Americans, Guatemala, Honduras. What's the other one? I don't know. It's the Central American countries now. And the way the Democrats talk, you know what? It's funny. American politics is very well known around the world. And so they hear the Democrats saying that they can wait it out, because they hear the Democrats saying, well, we just want to be able to come across the border. We shouldn't be doing anything with these people. That's basically what the Democrats are saying. Just let them come in. We're the only country that would allow that. The only country in the world that allows that. Just come on in. Eh, just come on in. We don't. You know what? You got here. If you're lucky enough to got here, you belong here. You're some of the Democrats even call them citizens now. Are you kidding me? And once you're here, we're going to give you free healthcare and free education and free this and free that and free social services. If you think you're, because all the Democrats are proposing some free shit somewhere. So, okay, please, we're going to make everything free for Americans. And if you're lucky enough to get across our border, we're going to call you an American too. Way to go. So now, how are we taking care of all these homeless people in California and Oregon that I saw? I mean, I didn't see a ton of them, but I know they're there. Or even in Minneapolis, there's plenty of homeless people here in Minnesota, and there's homeless people in all these cities. But we're going to allow as many people who want to come here. If you can make it across the border, you can stay, and we're going to give you all of our free shit too. How's that going to work? How's that going to work, Democrats? There's a serious math problem here. Oh, we're going to make it work by taking away, money from people who earned it. Yeah, we say we're going to just hit the billionaires and we're going to tax them to death. But then again, Bernie Sanders in that debate last night hinted that, oh, no, not just the rich, but we probably tax the middle class too. Oh, so everybody gets to pay for everybody who wants to be here. Well, you know what? Um, Pretty much half the world wants to be here. Okay. Are we going to make our country better by bringing half the world here? Or would it be now, me not being a fan of foreign aid, but man, how about we teach people how to fix their own countries? And maybe they can figure out a way to make their own place better. But we can't just take everybody. Um, as much as we'd like to, we have to know who's coming, got to make sure they're healthy, got to make sure they're going to contribute to making our society better, not just take the free shit that we offer and keep offering more free shit. Okay, it's time for Twitter trends because you know what, I'm gonna keep it light today on Twitter trends because I'm kind of rambling on today. By the way, it's my 100th show, and unfortunately, we didn't have any guests because I unfortunately got high last night unintentionally and didn't talk to anybody for the rest of the day. Oh, what's going on in my chat here? That chat's moving like crazy. Huh, that's weird. And this chat's not moving at all. Oh, did this chat die? What's the last thing on there? See Thomas. Last thing on there. Unintentionally, if you weren't here earlier, you'll have to check that out. All right, let's get into Twitter trends. We'll do that real quick, and then we got to get out of here because I'm discombobulated and I need a nap. Oh, it's probably CBD. I don't know. Some of them, there was a little of both. I don't know. It was an assortment of things that I have no idea what they were. Um, but they were edibles, and I didn't know they were edibles, and so I ate a bunch of them, and it didn't work, man. It just didn't work. It was terrible. It was a terrible thing. Oh gosh. Anyway, yes. Thank you for. By the way, thank you, Nextall, for tweeting out the show. I appreciate it. Let's get into Twitter trends, though. Where was I? I was doing trends, and I went backwards here. So it's Friday, and usually on every day of the week, there's a special day of the week trending thing on Twitter, and today it's Friday feelings. Friday feeling. Now, if I yeah, they were Brian, they were jelly things. They were for those of you who weren't here, I there was a package of Sour Patch Kids, and I love Sour Patch Kids, and in my in my house, and unfortunately somebody had used that to store some edibles, and so there you go. Was not cool. Was not cool at all. Anyway, um, number one trending Friday feeling. Let's see who. Let's see what's going on the Friday feeling tab here. Who's first? The first person on my Friday feeling is usually someone from my um, people I follow, and that is RJ, Mr. No Nonsense. There's a taco truck and a taco truck a half block away from my home. Now, what's he responding to? What type of truck do you wish parked near your house? National Food Truck Day. Oh, okay. It's National Food Truck Day. Is that in the trends? I will have to see if that's in the trend. It's national. Who the hell came up with National Food Truck Day? Um, Friday feelings. Yeah. What? Well, here, let's ask that question, chat. What type of truck do you wish parked near your house on National Food Truck Day? Me, I'm gonna say um Mediterranean. How do you spell that? Med gosh, that's weird. Mediterranean. Okay, there's that. Slash Euros. I want a Euro truck. So there's the question of the day as part of Friday feeling. What type in the chat, please? What type of food truck do you wish parked near your house on National Food Truck Day? Let's see. More Friday feelings. Let's see. For the first time ever, wrote Thomas, the court invalidates an agency action solely because it questions the sincerity of the agency's otherwise adequate rationale. Unanimous Supreme Court. Oh, interesting. Unanimous Supreme Court. It's predictable that non citizens will act. Huh. Let's see there. This actually might be interesting. Unanimous Supreme Court. It's predictable that non citizens will act unlawfully. Oh, wow. On its way to a ruling by a 5-4 majority that Secretary of Commerce improperly decided to include a citizenship question in the 2020 census, the Supreme Court unanimously concluded that states had legal standing to sue the federal government over the issue based on the court's conclusion that it is predictable that non citizens will act unlawfully by declining to fill out the census questionnaire. The court explained that its conclusion that this question that in part two of its opinion, which all nine justices joined. To have standing, the Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in his in this wrote in this unanimously joined part of his opinion in Department of Commerce versus New York, a plaintiff must present an injury that is concrete, particularized and actual or imminent, fairly traceable to the defendant's challenge behavior. Oh my God, I can't even read this. It is a and likely to be redressed by a favorable ruling, whatever that means. I don't know. I don't know why. I started reading that for a different reason, but I'm not going to read it because now it's driving me nuts. So f that. Let's get on. I guess get out of Friday feelings. I don't want to talk about feelings anymore. What that dog though? Oh wait, here we go. Here, this doggy missed the landing, but gets 10 for 10 for effort. So let's check out the dog on Twitter trends. What the hell's going on here? It's not going. What the hell is am I freezing again? Let's refresh this. Okay, food trucks. No one's talking about food trucks. What's your whoever came up with National Food Truck Day should get all of the awards. There's a ton of awesome food trucks that show up in my work complex, so I can't decide. Yep, pick one. Pick one. What's the food truck of the day? And why is my god damn. I tell you. And it's gone. Okay, never mind. Oh wait, here we go. Oh, no, that is funny. Oh, oh! Now I know what you all are laughing about. It wasn't working on my screen. All right, let's get out of Friday feelings. What's trending number 2 on Twitter? Let Yang speak. Apparently, there Yang did a word count, and I think he had like a total of like 400 some words in the debate last night. They didn't. I mean, they did not let him talk. The hashtag let Yang speak is trending after the candidate says in a Twitter thread that his mic was turned off except when he was asked a question, unlike the other candidates in the Democratic debate. And here's Andrew Yang saying, um, here's the thing. Some reflections on my first debate. Very glad to have a chance to represent on stage. Truly a privilege, and thank you for making it happen. Second, I feel bad for those who tuned in to see and support me that I didn't get more airtime. We'll do better. My mic being off and less called on didn't help, and glad to have another opportunity in July and afterwards. Third, this format was not a natural one for me at all. It requires very specific behaviors that feel very forced. Fourth, I'm glad that the network switches and we get it different moderators each time. Overall, I'm pumped for what we accomplished and even more pumped to take what I've learned and to get out there soon. So anyway, yeah, Yang he threw a word count out there and he had about he got it in about 400 words total and the I think the top one was like, almost 3,000 or whatever. So he barely got to talk. Um Let's see, separate date. Yeah, there was have a separate debate for Gabbard and Yang. Yeah, she got hosed too. She barely got any time compared to everybody else. So there's a lot of people talking about let Yang speak. That's the trending number 2. Moving on, trending number 3. Friday thoughts. Nope, we're not doing it. Friday motivation. Nope, we're not doing. Oh God, why is Chris Brown trending? Oh, Chris Brown has a new album out. Well, as long as he didn't, nobody. I was gonna say, good thing nobody beats him to the punch, but ever. Justin Bieber, Nicki Minaj, Drake, Lil Wayne, and more featured on Chris Brown's new album. He's a very talented person. Um, I just don't know that he's a good person. So I'm not going to spend any more time on Chris Brown. Stonewall 50, remembering the Stonewall uprising 50 years on. Just for a little history lesson here, let's take a look back at the Stonewall riots 50 years on, an event that is considered to be pioneering part of LGBTQ history. Um, I'm not 100%. I've heard of the Stonewall uprising, but I'm not familiar completely. I think was that in I can't remember where it was, but here it is. The riot that changed America's gay right movement forever. Um, Stonewall's rebellion and release of fear, but it was also a celebration of personhood by queer Americans standing proud and unashamed. Oh, that was in New York. That's right. On a hot, humid summer evening in New York City in 1969, the tranquility of a small park in Queens was disturbed by the jarring sounds of sawing and chopping and the thump of trees toppling to the ground. Local residents were angry that gay men were meeting in the park at night under a lover's lane of trees. The men weren't disturbing anybody. The park was otherwise deserted. That's an interesting way to put it. Nor were they harming each other. Their trysts were fully consensual. But that did not stop the locals from forming vigilante groups. Growing at times to 40 strong, they prowled the park like packs of hunting dogs in search of prey. When they found a gay man hiding behind a tree, they beamed powerful lights in his face. Run and never come back, they said, or we will beat you to a pulp. When that failed, self appointed defenders of morality took things to the next level. They went home and grabbed saws and axes, and on that sticky summer evening, under approving eye of local police, they chopped down all the trees. The strange incident was one of the more surreal manifestations of a country that, in June 1969, remained trapped in a homophobia's grip. A week after the trees were felled in Queens, about 10 miles away in Manhattan, a thread snapped in the social fabric of the city. Enough was enough. Gay men had had enough of the vigilante threats, enough of the slurs, enough of the random violence in the streets, and the endless police harassments. Enough of the hate. In June 1969, 28, in Greenwich Village, in a bar called Stonewall Inn, gay men and their trans and lesbian peers. First of all, let me stop right there. That is adding something to the story that may not be the case by throwing trans in there. Um, in gay men and their trans and lesbian peers would strike a blow for equality. There was you know what? There wasn't necessarily in that time the idea of transgendered people. Now there were transsexual people. And maybe that's why they only use the word trans. But even that was rare. You didn't. No one talked about transsexuals that much. Um, there were gay men who cross dressed in the time, but for using that terminology um, in this article kind of doesn't really work. But anyway, um, anyway, there was there was a riot, or not a riot. There was a demonstration at the Stonewall place, which is what's the difference between transsexuals and transgender. The difference is now, if you is as far as current terminology, transsexual were people who were actually um, had a sex change, and then so they it's evolved over the years of how people are terming it. Um, a transsexual is someone who actually went under the knife. Um, Dr. Renee Richards would have been a good example, the tennis player back in the day. She was, I think she helped coach Billie Jean King sometime too. Anyway, um, transgender just is as turned into someone who says they are something else, but doesn't necessarily have to do the surgery to do so. They may take hormones. They leave their body intact. They leave, and also people now, if you listen to the progressive left, um, transgender also includes anyone who says they're anything but their own sex matched gender. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, and so anyone who calls themselves non-binary or genderqueer or whatever, they're all now are under um, the umbrella of transgender. If you were born, I hate to say the word. I never say the words assigned gender because you're not assigned a gender at birth. Um, and your reproductive or physiological sex is observed at birth. And so since 99% or 90 whatever X number of people are this end up being the same gender. Gender is they've tried to remove gender from sex. So let's just put it that way. Um, and really they hadn't done that in the 60s. Okay. That wasn't a that wasn't a concept. That concept didn't really happen until the 80s when people were they kind of started defining gender differently. Because really originally the concept of gender had nothing to do with sex, or because uh, sex and gender were the same thing as far as language is concerned. And the concept of gender was about gendering inanimate objects. So for example, when they say that ship, she's a good looking ship on the sea, okay, that's gendering an inanimate object. And that's the original concept of gender. And so people were began to there some revolutionary social scientists um, began separating eh, using that same concept on humans, saying that your sex and your gender don't necessarily have to be the same. So you're gendering human beings by saying, that she is this, okay, but I don't know. I, the explanation I'm giving you is taking way too long. So anyway, if you want to read up on the Stonewall riots, it's a fascinating thing. Here, there's the Guardian article. That'll tell you a little bit more about it. I put it in the chat. It's okay. Because I need to finish for the day. All right, let's go back to what's trending on Twitter. Okay, Stonewall, 50 years. Dalai Lama's the Dalai Lama is in trouble. the Dalai Lama finally, well, he's pissed off the leftists more than once, but he's really pissed off people now. Because the Dalai Lama is facing a backlash for saying a female successor would need to be good looking. The Dalai Lama still thinks a female successor must be attractive. And so, you know what? Look that one up. It's hilarious. And people are pissed. Ironical. The Budapest spiritual leader first says that a female Dalai Lama will have to be physically attractive and then goes on to lament the lack of moral pinnacles in U.S. President Donald Trump. People would rather expect such a comment from Trump. I'm sorry. I don't even want to. It's just funny to me. I don't know why. People they're mad. They're mad at the Dalai Lama is sexist. Shh. Freddie Gibbs is trending. I don't know something. I don't know who Freddie Gibbs is. Is he part of a band? 5 years after the release of Pinata, Freddie Gibbs and Madib have teamed up for a second full-length release. I never heard their first full-length release, so I don't care. That's trending on Twitter. David Brooks. Why is David Brooks trending? Oh my gosh. Let's see. This country spent 243 years catering to the interests of people like David Brooks. But as soon as leaders start talking about helping the people left behind, the David Brookses of the world demand attention. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Oh, good God. Dems, please don't drive me away. David Brooks, you're supposed to be the conservative columnist for the New York Times. The damn pulling of the party leftward. Well, David Brooks, you used to be a conservative, I thought. Okay. Don't care. Bitch, bye. So the Dems are like, whatever. The narcissism required of Max Boot, David Brooks, and Meghan McCain to constantly do the how will the Dems win over people like me routine. To them, it's taken for granted their rich, white, right-wing interests should be centered on it has for so long. They've flabbergasted why it is now and not now. You know what? I hate to break it to you, Democrats. The country doesn't go that far left. So if y'all want to keep talking about free shit for everybody, just remember when you're paying for that millionaire's college student loans, when you're paying off his college student loans and the coal miner's son who's struggling because the coal mining industry is down and his son started in a coal mining job without a college education, has to see his tax dollars paying for that millionaire kid's student loan, or the even the guy who, you know what, they have $300,000 in student loans because they're a doctor now making $200,000 a year, and we're paying off their student loans, and that coal miner's kids paying off their student loans, and you're wondering why that person may not vote for you. You'll figure it out. Yes, you've got to. I'm sorry, you can't. Both parties have to understand that there are people in the middle, somewhat in the middle, that they got to convince, because that you can't win without them. There's not enough full-on progressive left-wing Democrats to win without them. Okay, without those people in the center. Like it or not, you got to convince the people who would vote for somebody else if you can't help them out. So there you go. I am going to end that today. That's going to be it for Twitter trends, because let me see if there's any good ones here. Ooh, President Carter's trending. I'm gonna click it. Just hopefully. I mean, I don't. I wasn't a fan of Carter, but I think he's a good man. I really do. Okay. Okay. Well, he's trending because he said something about Donald Trump. So if it's so funny. None of these people they don't trend unless they're talking about Trump. That's why Trump's going to win again. It doesn't matter. You trend everyone. If you want clicks, Donald Trump. If you want someone to hear you, say something about Donald Trump, good or bad. It doesn't even have you can say something good about Donald Trump and you'll be in the news. You can say something bad about Donald Trump and you'll be in the news. Let's see here. Jimmy Carter. Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election and he was put into office because Russians interfered on his behalf. John Meekum. So, do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president? Carter says, oh my God. Again, I still haven't heard the answer to my question. I don't know what his answer was. I did it was a video of his answer, and I'm not you guys can't hear it anyway. Um, here's the thing. If the Rush they no one's answered this is the question of the day, and it's I'm gonna finish with today. They keep saying the Russians interfered with the election. Now, the examples they have given with the Russians interfering with the election have been the troll farm that put out these stupid ads. Half of them were after the election, but they put out ads on Facebook, spent very little money. I mean, literally, I was it 4 grand? I don't remember even the dollar amount, but it wasn't, whatever. So they put these ads on Facebook. Okay. And let's for the sake of argument, let's say that the Russians really did hack the DNC and put out those, you know, and gave them to WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks released them, showing that Bernie Sanders was cheated in the primaries. And that's basically all the. If you go back, nobody talks about what was in those emails anymore because they tried to overshadow by saying, "Oh no, the Russians were helping Donald Trump." What was in those emails? Okay, it proved that Donna Brazil gave answers to Hillary Clinton ahead of time before one of the debates. They that how the DNC was cheating Bernie Sanders, how the media was basically conspiring with the DNC. The DNC was approving stories. They had all these columnists that were you know going and getting their stories approved before running them for the DNC. Oh, gee, is that collusion? Is that ethical? Is that ethical journalism? So that's what was in the DNC emails and the Podesta emails and things like that. All these nefarious things that the DNC were doing. Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned because of what was revealed in those emails. So the DNC was dirty as fuck. If the Russians hacked that and gave that to WikiLeaks and we found out about that, what's the more important thing? The Democrats were dirty. Okay? But we're talking about Russia. So now let's say that actually happened. Let's say that was the Russians who did that. Okay. The Russians interfering in our election, how many votes did they change? How many votes did the Russians change with their interference? Because that's what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you that the Russians cheated in the election and the Russians did something. They keep saying, no, the president, he didn't really win. Well, he won. How do you lose to the second worst presidential candidate in US history? How do you do that? By being the worst presidential candidate in US history. That's how you lose to the second worst candidate in presidential history. And frankly, because I was one of those never Trump people, I'm not anymore. I very well could vote for Trump this next time around because he's done a fairly good job if you take away the style. I hate his style, but his substance has been pretty good. Okay. And all this politicking around what Trump does, all the politics and the constant blah, 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 all that crap that around Trump. I care about the results. Okay. Now, does his style drives me nuts? You know, but you know what? It's funny. Um, does the rest of the world still want to be here? Does the rest of the world respect and or well, just respect us as a yes, he goes off on these tangents and maybe they think he's weird. But anyone fucking with us right now? Nope. Nope. And so I his methods I wonder about sometimes, but you know what? If it works, it works. I got to give him credit for that. And that's the way it's going to be. And that's how I'm going to end the show today. You guys, thanks for being here. I didn't see an MC pop up, so I don't think anyone did any super chats. I'll just check before I go, make sure there are none there. Let's see, where's that page? There we go. Yeah, it's unfortunately I got to figure out a way to have this alert me because I can't even open Streamlabs while I'm while I'm streaming right now because of this computer. Um, yeah, exactly. Number one, we just had 8 years of style without substance. That is that's the honest truth. But oh, good morning, by the way. No, number one, nowhere. Good morning, Green Badger Logic. Good morning, Francis Lancer. I check your logic. There's a whole page of people came in. I haven't really paid attention to the chat. I apologize, everybody. Johnny Hellcat, how you doing? Okay, thank you all for being here. Anyway, so that's the show for today. You know, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Excuse me, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT, for those of you who know what that is. And I am I'm gradually recovering from one, my vacation, two from last night. If you don't know what I'm talking about last night, because you got here after in the middle of the show, you're just gonna have to go back and listen because I may just go back to bed. Anyway, though, thank you people for being here on the Morning Live. Please share the link, hit the like button if you want to make a donation or a super chat in future shows. The link for the Streamlabs link or Streamlabs is down below. That's how we do super chats and donations on this channel. Thank you so much for everyone who has who made it through this particular show. My 100th show. I'm pretty proud of that. I've done this. This is my 100th. So 101 comes on Monday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT. Thank you again for being here on the Morning Night Live. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a good day.